Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to another LimeVibe Live podcast. I'm your host, riding solo tonight, Yori Araman Kemp from Nassau, Bahamas. My regular co-host, Kimberly Ram-Callahan, isn't feeling very well. She's up and down to the hospital getting tests. So she'll be back with us on Friday. But you're here with me tonight, and I thank you for joining us for another LimeVibe podcast. If you have not done so, please like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. Like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page, LimeVibe77. That's LimeVibe77. 1 second, please. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We had some technical difficulties. Sometimes when you don't have the camera focusing properly, they give you a bad focus. So I apologize for that, but it happens every so often. So I thank you once again for joining us on the LimeVibe podcast. It's LimeVibe77. That's LimeVibe77 on Facebook and YouTube. Please go and like and share and subscribe to our videos there. It really helps out a lot. So if you can join up with us and become one of our members, join our tribe, so to speak, we'd be greatly appreciated. Also, there is a donate link inside the description. So if you go to the donate link, you can give anything to the LimeVibe podcast that you so feel. Anything that you think that we deserve, we'll take it from you. Okay? So just anything that moves your heart to give to us to help move this machine forward, we will greatly appreciate it. Okay, let's get right into our show. I don't know if you guys have realized, but there's another tropical storm outside the tropical storm Franklin that's going to hit Haiti. That's hitting Dominican Republic and Haiti right now. There's tropical storm Gert as well. So the National Hurricane Center in Orlando, in Florida, said that Gert is a tropical storm. Warnings are issued for the Texas coast on Monday for the disturbance that made it a rainy weekend in South Florida. The warnings extended from the Mexico border north through the Corpus Christi to Port Corner, okay, in the southwest corridor of Houston. Say the system was moving rapidly west at 18 miles per hour, and it's on its way to the western Gulf of Mexico coastline. Winds are reaching 35 miles per hour. Okay, this is in the Gulf. This affects, Mexico and maybe even Central America. It doesn't really affect the Caribbean main, but Franklin is going to hit into Haiti. A storm surge expected up to 1 to 3 feet for tropical storm Franklin as well. But early on, that's tropical depression Gert. It's not a tropical storm yet, Gert is, but it's a tropical depression. They've already named it. So yeah, they have it. There are two other storms that's brewing out in the Eastern Atlantic, coming from Cabo Verde and the northeast part of Africa. And those two storms have not been named as yet. So you just want to keep an eye on them as we move forward, okay? So that's about 4 tropical depression / storms that are possibly going to be hurricane within our region within the next 48 hours. Franklin is already moving its way up to the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Gert is moving its way up through Mexico and Texas. And Emily is still in the region as well. Emily has not weakened as yet. And actually it's expected to weaken as it moves up Texas as well. So we want to keep an eye on Emily because it may re-strengthen, but I doubt it because it's going to go straight up into the mainland United States. Emily is. And so we're past from that. So America and Mexico has to deal with Gert and Emily while we have to deal with Franklin and those two other storms that are coming over from the Eastern Atlantic. Okay, so we just want to be mindful of that. And take the precautions. Listen to the updates. Listen to a podcast like LimeVibe Live. listen to the radio stations that just be alert and be on top of what's going on with these hurricanes because it's going to be probably another busy hurricane season. We've already had storms all season, and this is the time when storms are going to start really peaking up right now. In September and October, that's when storms are really going to start trending upwards in the region. So we want to be careful. This is when most storms really start to take shape, okay? We've had an early season this year. We had storms all the way from July, okay? So we just want to keep our eyes open. Let's hope that we make it through this tropical season, this hurricane season, very safe, okay? We don't want a hurricane again in this region. So that's that. So just be mindful of that. There's not much really to report on the hurricanes, really, you know. It is what it is. They're saying Franklin could become a hurricane. It could become a hurricane. Tropical storm Emily is still going up the central Atlantic. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is. So let's be careful. And tropical depression Gert, I should say, tropical depression Gert is moving its way up to Texas as well. So let's be on the lookout for that. A little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. You know, they're going to make it through a tropical depression. So let's be careful. Okay. But one of my main topics tonight was, does the Bible sanction abortion? Does the Bible sanction abortion? You'll be shocked to know what we found out. It's right there in the Bible too. The Bible does sanction abortion, to be honest with you. If you go to Numbers 5 and 11, that's the book of Numbers, chapter 5, verses 11 through 31. It shows you the test for an unfaithful wife. And we will read that entire passage to you, 11 to 31. We will read that entire passage to you and tells you why the Bible sanctions abortion. So we have all of these pastors. They're out there talking, oh no, we can't support abortion. And we can't support, you know, someone aborting a child, but it's right there in the Bible. The Bible gives you clear instructions on why abortion should take place and how abortion should take place. Very unclinically, by the way. Okay. So, you know, I think some of these pastors need to really go back and read the Bible and understand what that's about. Now, I know if it comes in a motive issue, abortion is pro-life or pro-choice, but we cannot use the Bible, or we cannot use what's not in the Bible to justify our actions and justify our means. And by no way, I a preacher by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not. I'm just reading the Bible like how everyone has the opportunity to read the book. Just read the book, and you will see exactly what we're talking about. Okay. We got some other news as well. We have the Central American Parliament turned their backs on Taiwan totally this week. You know, they turned their backs on Taiwan and they opened it up to the People's Republic of China to sit as an observer in their Central American Parliament. Okay. And that Central American Parliament is made up of roughly 6 countries. Is mainly El Salvador, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic. Where else? Let me get all the countries. Sorry. It's where is that? Where did I see that? I should have highlighted that, you know. Oh yeah, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, and the Dominican Republic. They all are part of this Central American Parliament. They call Parlacen, the Central American Parliament. And they have advocated that Taiwan should be removed from observer status from their parliament. And they replace it with the People's Republic of China's representatives, as it says, observer status in Central America. See what that $20 billion highway to Honduras did? It caused a lot of things to shift. So I can expect a lot more money coming in for Central America, much needed money too, to spend on their economies. You know, if America doesn't want to move, China's going to move into Central America. China's moving in already, actually. And it's already replacing some of these democracies and really helping some of these authoritarian style leaders in Central America to become even stronger because they have the funding now. They have Chinese money that really came from the United States when they bought up all the United States debt. It's really American money. Okay. So there you have it, as the world turns, right? So now that leaves Taiwan in a very, precarious position now, because right now they've been ostracized. They've lost their Central American backing. The Central American countries and Caribbean countries have been the last holdouts, the last few holdouts in the world that recognize Taiwan as an official state and not a member of China, not a runaway province the way China wants to paint it out to be. So that's more support loss. And China did that swiftly. We watched that right here on LimeVibe. We watched when China hit Honduras with $20 billion for a road, for a highway from China to Honduras through the Pacific Ocean. A highway from China to Honduras for $20 billion. They hit them with that. Wow. And God knows how much more money they hit Honduras with, all the other Central American countries with, right? And so what are you going to expect now? How can Taiwan outspend that? What was the United States going to do? Or what could they have done? All right. I would have taken the money too, actually, and tell Taiwan to go kick rocks. So yeah, that's done for them. It really sets up another dynamic as well, because now what's the United States going to do now? It sees that people are listening to China more than they ever were inside the region. Whereas, like I said, those Central American countries were the last holdouts that really recognized Taiwan as an independent state. And now China is coming and replacing them in their own parliament, in their Central American parliament, not in the individual countries as yet. Honduras got rid of them about 2 months ago, got rid of Taiwan 2 months ago. All right. But the rest of the other countries like El Salvador and Guatemala still have not done so. I think St. Lucia has not done it as yet. And a few other countries in the Caribbean, I can't remember offhand, I have to do some more research. But what's the United States going to do? These are the last countries that recognize Taiwan. Now it's gone. The United States is losing authority, man. They're losing stature in this region. And they're not looking at it, but they're losing stature in this region. And it's becoming very clear. Okay? And as we say that, you know, the former governor of Barbados, Dr. Delisle Worrell, says the Caribbean is unquestionably more integrated today, and he's also advocating for Caribbean countries to adopt the US dollar. So on the one hand, you have Chinese moving in and sweeping away the United States and Central America, and we have another prominent voice calling for the dollarization, the full dollarization of the rest of the Caribbean, which I don't think would harm anyway, though. There's nothing wrong with that, I think, because if it's going to make these economies stronger, then my goodness, spend the US dollar, because the Turks and Caicos already spends the US dollar. The Bahamas spends a US dollar frequently here. It's one-on-one on par. We also have the British Virgin Islands. They use the American dollar, and they are the British Virgin Islands. All right, not the US Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, Tortola. They use the US dollar, okay? So, you know, maybe it's time we should consider that if it's going to be like this, because why would we want to print our own money, waste our own money, printing our own money that's relatively worthless, especially if we have a fixed rate exchange with the US dollar, with the central bank. So why should we print our own money when we use the US dollar in any event? Our economy is only as strong because the United States dollar comes in from tourism dollars and a bit of banking and a bit of investment. So, I mean, that's really how it is. So maybe we should dollarize. Let's consider Dr. Lyle Worrell's comments. It's printed inside the Jamaica Observer, actually. That was about, that was yesterday it was. And it has a lengthy article, not much, you know, information, but he just advocates that because we are already integrating right now as a region through culture, through music, through even sports now. You know, nothing could deepen this relationship more between the Caribbean countries if, outside of us dollarizing and using the US dollar straight across the board. That would cut out a lot of blockages when it comes down to trade and the movement of people and visiting these countries back and forth. And also these economies, you know, they'll put us on parity, on par. That's something we could consider. And we would not have to go to CARICOM to have a full-fledged meeting and a full-fledged, what do you call it, resolution from CARICOM to say we adopt the US dollar moving forward. You know, that's something these countries could do on their own. The Bahamas just spends the US dollar right, left, and center. I mean, it just comes in. We are dollar for dollar par. The Turks and Caicos spends a US dollar and dollar for par. They don't even use the British pound, and they are a British protectorate. They use the US dollar. Same thing with the British Virgin Islands. They are a British protectorate, but they use the US dollar. So think about that for a second, man. So maybe Dr. Lyle Worrell's comments have some salience. Maybe we could use, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should. We should think about that, man. You know, should the Caribbean become a US dollar denominated economy? It would help the CSME as well with trade. It really would help the CSME. It would have the free movement of people, and it would make, you know, doing business easier with American companies. You know, if any one country that could use that should be Haiti. Haiti could use US dollarization. That would pick them up just like that. You know, right next door to the world's strongest economy, they'll be right in shape. You know, and also would put a damper on some of these Chinese movements throughout the region as well. You know, because right now I'm looking at China more favorable. I'm pro-US, I'm pro-American, but I'm looking at China a bit more favorable now. I was kind of afraid until it, but now I say, no, maybe Ali had a point. Maybe Ali had a point with accepting all this Chinese investment. You know, maybe he had a point. If they're going to spend the money, they're going to put you in a better place and in a better stead. Why not? You know, it's only money. It's only paper, baby. It's only paper. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out for Taiwan. But then that's a scary situation for Taiwan as well, because I think they're under the impression that the Chinese mainland government is going to come and brutally take them over. You know, that could be a case. That could be an option on the table. It may not be as peaceful, quote unquote, as it was when he took over Hong Kong and Macau, when the British gave up Hong Kong back in the 90s. It may not be as peaceful as that, but it definitely would be a shakeup, you know. And then Taiwan is very strategic to the United States and the rest of the Western world because they make a lot of semiconductors and they make a lot of chips that goes in a lot of American products and electronics. So if they lose that part and Taiwan is controlled by China, United States will never have peace and freedom. So if the U.S. security officials are not thinking about a way where they can make their own microchips or find another East Asian country that could work for little or next to nothing and make these chips and are a bit more effective and a bit more intelligent than what they have in Taiwan right now, then, you know, God be with them. But they should be considering that. I think so. Start considering that, man. Because it looks like you're not going to, you know, stop China's move throughout the region. And China's just chipping away at all the last remnants of Taiwanese support in the region, which is Central America and the Caribbean, okay? So if US isn't going to do nothing, okay, they're going to leave China out to dry, well, so be it. And Taiwan out to dry, so be it. You know, but back to our main topic. Does the Bible sanction abortion? Does the Bible sanction abortion? And I would say yes, it does. If you read Numbers chapter 5, 11 through 31, that's Numbers chapter 5, 11 through 31. I was talking to a colleague of mine yesterday. She's much younger than I am. And she could not believe that abortion was in the Bible. So I had to tell her, yes, it's in Numbers chapter 5, verses 11 through 31. And she was shocked when I read it to her. You know, she could not believe, because right now we're going through this debate now where there was an 11-year-old girl that was raped by her mother's boyfriend, and she became pregnant. Wow, she became pregnant, 11 years old. Can you imagine an 11-year-old carrying the term of 9 months, carrying a 9-month term with the baby, 11 years old? All right. And now, but that's not the end of it. The kicker was that the mother got her pills to force her to miscarry, or essentially have an abortion. And now the mother has been charged with, you know, forcing an abortion on the 11-year-old girl. So now it brings up a lot of legal questions now. It brings up a lot of issues now. Should the mother have given the child something to cause an abortion, a morning after pill, to stimulate an abortion? And so, you know, and of course the law is that we don't sanction abortion in the Bahamas, and should the law be changed? And so you have a lot of pastors jumping up and down saying, oh no, I don't believe in abortion because abortion is this and abortion is that, right? And that's fair. You know, that's their sentiments on that. But I encourage them, I entreat them to go and read the Bible. I was shocked when I was just reading through my Bible. What I do is in the mornings, along with the preferred scripture, the sent scripture to me, I also go chapter by chapter through the Bible. Right now I'm in Psalms, right? I'm on Psalms 38. So, and I do it religiously. Every morning I read the preferred text. I go to that chapter in the Bible, and I also read whatever part I saw from the Bible that morning before, I read through. So I'm on Psalms chapter 37 now. All right. So I was reading the Bible one day, back and forth. I came across Numbers chapter 5, verses 11 through 31. And this is Numbers chapter 5, starting from verse 11, it says, the test for an unfaithful wife. Then the Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, if a man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him, so that another man has sexual relations with her, and this is hidden from her husband, and her impurity is undetected, since there is no witness against her, and she has not been caught in the act, and if feelings of jealousy come over the husband, and he suspects his wife, and she is impure, or if he is jealous and suspects her even though she is not impure, then he is to take his wife to the priest. He must also take an offering, 1/10 of an ephah of barley flour on her behalf. He must not pour olive oil on it or put incense on it, because it is a grain offering for jealousy, a reminder offering to draw attention to the wrongdoing. All right, that's 11 through 15. Let's go on to chapter 16 where it gets really interesting, right? The priest, read from chapter 16 now, 5 through 16. Numbers chapter 5 through 16. The priest shall bring her and have her stand before the Lord. Then he shall take some holy water in a clay jar and put some dust from the tabernacle floor into the water. After the priest has had the woman stand before the Lord, he shall loosen her hair and place her hands in the reminder offering, the grain offering for jealousy, while he himself holds the bitter water that brings a curse. Then the priest shall put the woman under oath and say to her, if no other man has had sexual relations with you, and you have not gone astray and become impure while married to your husband, may this bitter water that brings a curse not harm you. Okay, let's read it again. Then the priest shall put a woman under oath and say to her, if no man has had sexual relations with you, and you have not gone astray and become impure while married to your husband, may this bitter water that brings a curse not harm you. However, it goes on the chapter, it goes on to verse 20 now. But if you have gone astray while married to your husband, and you have made yourself impure by having sexual relations with a man other than your husband, here the priest is to put the woman under this curse. May the Lord cause you to become a curse among your people when he makes your womb miscarry and your abdomen swell. May this water that brings a curse enter your body so that your abdomen swells or your womb miscarries. Did you hear that? But if you have, let's read from chapter 20, reading from verse 29. Numbers chapter 5, verse 20. We read from 11 to 20 right now. So we're going to read from Numbers chapter 5, verse 20. But if you have gone astray while married to your husband, and you have made yourself impure by having sexual relations with a man other than your husband, here the priest is to put the woman under this curse. May the Lord cause you to become a curse among your people when he makes your womb miscarry and your abdomen swell. May this water that brings a curse enter your body so that your abdomen swells or your womb miscarries. Wow, that sounds like abortion to me. Then the woman is to say, amen, so be it. Then the priest is to write curses on a scroll and then wash them off into the bitter water. He shall make the woman drink the bitter water that brings a curse. 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 And this water that brings a curse and causes bitter suffering will enter her. So, I don't know if you guys have lived in the island long enough, like how I've lived in the island long enough, right? You would talk to any mother over the age of, I would say, 50, 60, and they would tell you that there's this thing called pond bush. You could do a search. It's called P-O-N-D, pond bush. So I can search it right now, pond bush, right? What they describe in Numbers chapter 5, verses 11 through 21 sounds like the priest was giving this woman pond bush, okay? And pond bush is a notable cure in the islands for giving young women who became pregnant while they were unmarried, teenage girls who got pregnant, to give them this pond bush. You boil the pond bush and you give it to them, and it causes them to miscarry, okay? So that's a homemade remedy for abortion. This pond bush, and you boil it and you give it to the young girls to drink who have become pregnant, and they would miscarry. So that's exactly what it sounds like in Numbers chapter 5, verses 20. The priest gave the woman a pond bush, because if the woman did not sleep out on her husband, she would not have become pregnant. Because I can imagine back then, there were no contraceptions. There were no condoms. There was no birth control pill. So there was only one outcome after you've had sex while your husband was out fighting a war or chasing bears and lions and tigers, is that you became pregnant. And if you became pregnant while your husband was out, you were unfaithful because it's not his child. And so if he suspects you to be unfaithful, then drink this pond bush. If you have not been unfaithful, then you would not miscarry. The bitter water that brings a curse. And the curse is on you because it just double. It shows you how God puts in place things that cleans up some of the mistakes that we make. Yeah. So when we go back to that, right? So that's right there, plain see. So now we have these pastors arguing back and forth about whether or not abortion should be legal because they believe in the Bible and they believe in scripture and they believe from a religious standpoint. But there we have it right there. Right there. I didn't lie to you. It's right there in Numbers chapter 5, verses 11 through 31. You can read the whole chapter for itself. Read the whole chapter, Numbers 5. You can read the whole thing. Read the whole Bible, by the way. And you can see where it clearly states where this is available. So if there are certain circumstances where the Bible recognizes that maybe a pregnancy should be aborted, why are these pastors so hard and fast on things, especially when there's an 11-year-old girl that was impregnated by her mother's boyfriend, and she cannot bring a child to term? That's going to change her life forever. Not just her socioeconomic status, but it's also going to change her body. She can't really bring a baby to full term at 11 years old. Mind, she may be having her period, and she may be seeing a bit of a bump on her breast, and her hips may be getting wider. But can't she really take care of a child? Wouldn't that be cruel to let her continue on with the pregnancy? And while that is the case, and while I am, pro-life, considering this is what is clear inside the Bible, and so at the end of the day, we really have to take these things into consideration, so I just want you to nibble on that for the time being. So when you have pastors go back and forth talking about abortion and whatnot, and they use the Bible, tell them that we read Numbers chapter 5, and on LimeVibe it showed us Numbers chapter 5, what this is about. Okay, so I can imagine this conversation has been going on, Roe versus Wade in the United States, for years now. All right, it's been going on for years now, and each side has used their particular, talking point on how they believe, a woman's choice should be played forth. And while I believe the decision of Roe v. Wade was wrong because it took on abortion from a different perspective, it took on abortion from the point of it being not about a woman's right to choose, but about whether or not it was right to actually grant abortion. Let me go back to that. Sorry, before I start talking foolishness on this air, because Roe versus Wade was not about women's rights. From what I remember, Roe v. Wade was about the decision that struck down because blah, 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 the legality of abortion, moral religion, blah, 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 blah. The case is about nominal equality. Okay, this doesn't give us a summary that I had, but I read a summary on it. It was really not about women's choice, and that's what was masked. That's what it was masked with, but it wasn't about women's choice. Okay, it was about the constitutionality of abortion. Should abortion be allowed to people? It wasn't about women's right to choose. It was never about that, actually. And so, like I said, I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-choice. No, I'm not pro-choice. I'm pro-life. Sorry, I'm pro-life. But I understand that there are some circumstances where this needs to be, where women need to have the right to have an abortion, and these are some of these extreme circumstances where abortion should be considered. But any other situation, I'm not talking about willy-nilly abortions now, where a woman, she had fun and frolic and then she wants to abort the baby. That shouldn't be the case. But I believe in certain circumstances that abortion should be allowed for some people. But I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life. Not every baby should be brought to term because it's going to destroy other things within God's divine plan. All right, and God made provisions for this shit. God knew this day was coming. We think that because we're in this new modern age, right, that all these things that we're grappling with now is just brand new. No, they're not. These things people have been talking about for years, for hundreds of years now. Women have been unfaithful to their men for years. Women have been lying on men, saying the baby's theirs for years. Women have been getting rid of babies for years now. This isn't brand new. So I just want us to consider that. When they say these hoes ain't loyal. Yeah, that's a song with Chris Brown saying these hoes ain't loyal. And I don't want to go that route, but I'm just saying, no one should force an 11-year-old girl to have a child. No one. If she cannot bring it to term. No one. Okay. And let me see if I can find what the decision on Roe v. Wade was about, because the court said it was the U.S. Supreme Court said it was a hasty case. It should not have been brought. Said it's overturned Boston, blah blah. She began constitutional rights, drafting an opinion. Blackburn continued to work on his opinion. Blah 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 blah. I'll say, yeah, the fundamental right to choose whether to have abortions without excessive government restriction and striking down Texas abortion ban as unconstitutional. The decision was issued together with Roe's companion case, D.B. Bolton, which involved a similar challenge to Georgia's abortion law. The opinion of the court was by Judge Harry Blackman. He led the majority decision on Roe v. Wade. Say abortion right and right to privacy. So it really was a right to privacy, if anything. That's a private matter between you and your doctor and your family, really. And the state shouldn't really get involved in that. So it wasn't about women's right to choose. It was never about the right to choose. It was about a right to privacy. Your privacy. Do you have a right to privacy? That's what it's about. Yes, it's coming back to me now. It was about a right to privacy. So it wasn't about a woman's right to choose. It wasn't sanctioning a woman going out there and saying, "Oh no, I don't want this. I'm 7 months pregnant. I don't want this baby anymore. I just want to get rid of Willie Nilly." It was never about that. Never about that. Never about that. Never about that. It was never about you having a wild night with a one-night stand, and 2 months later you find you're pregnant and you're getting rid of the baby. It was never about those people either. It was about your right to privacy. Should your conversations about your health, your woman's health, be private between you and your doctor? That's what that was about. It was not about a woman's right to choose. And that's where they've been lying to us for so many years, thinking that these things were about women's rights. And it's never about women's rights. Never was about women's rights. Or it's just about a right to privacy. Should your information be, blasted about? And should the government get involved in your right to choose? Never about a woman's rights. That's where they tried to muddy the water. And it became a political issue after that, which is very wrong. But, that's the way things go. People take an inch, you give them a mile. People, you give them an inch, you take a mile. And that's how, American politics really is, I noticed something that's really strange, though. During the other hot button debate inside the United States, gay rights, right, gay marriage, I noticed that most of these liberal media stations, they were attacking the Catholic Church. All of a sudden, they were finding out, especially over the last 10 years, it's died down now after they've already granted, gay marriage to a man and a woman and a woman. They find out now. They really start bringing up all these. Have you noticed they really start bringing all these church pedophilia cases with these Catholic priests? Notice they've stopped that since gay marriage has become legalized in the United States. You notice that push from the liberal media has stopped. And so they neutered the Catholic Church on that. It was just really dirty politics, really dirty politics. But something, if the church was not in a position to be compromised, it would not have been this way. The church didn't have a high ground to stand on anyway against gay marriage. The church has lost its moral grounding for years now. You can't come and talk to anybody when you have Catholic priests, taking young children into their homes and sexually molesting them and assaulting them. You don't have any moral high ground to stand on. And so, to that extent, I am glad that the gay rights advocates, they expose how dark the church really was and how sick it really was, so we can deal with it as a community. Because I'm a Christian. I don't want to be led by demons who are, sexually abusing kids. I don't want to be in that kind of atmosphere. So I'm glad that the gay rights really exposed that, and I thank them for that. But at the end of the day, a man versus a man, a woman and a woman with a woman is still wrong inside God's eye. And someone brought to me a scripture in 1 Corinthians, was it right? It says that homosexual marriage really is an abomination, and you're going to go to hell for it. I believe that. But if you as a gay man, you don't believe in the Bible, but it says that you're going to go to hell for being, gay, then that's your business. And I have no issue with that. That's your right to choose, because it's not going to affect me in any way, shape, or form. But I'm glad that we've crossed that bridge, and I just hope that these revelations about these wayward pastors and these wayward Catholic priests, and any priest or any man of God, by the way, could be revealed so that we can see exactly who we're dealing with sometime. And that doesn't denigrate the church. That does not devalue the church. That strengthens the church, because it weeds out some of these bad actors and it puts them in a cleaner state. It purges the poison out of the system, so you can have real pure man and women of God. And I believe that. I believe God would be pleased with that as well, even though it came about in a funny way. But like I said, notice the reporting now. Over the last, I would say, 2 years now, or 3 or 4 years after they've really solidified gay marriage in the United States, the attacks against the Catholic Church and this pedophilia has pretty much stopped. You don't hear anything on the liberal media anymore about Catholic priests sexually abusing kids anymore. I noticed that. All right. I've noticed that very, very clearly. Yeah. But during the height, but when they were really pushing forward for that gay marriage, that was on everything. You could not turn on a television station where they were not talking about, some Catholic priest that had been accused of molesting a child, sometimes decades back. The priests have already left, sometimes even the priests have even left the clergy. He's left the church. And they remembered that this happened back in the 1960s or the 1970s, And that's just how it was, man. And thank God for revealing it. It was what it was. Okay. So we talked about pretty much a lot of different stuff tonight. And my camera's still acting up, so I don't know what's going on. I think it's the lighting. I'm gonna have to have somebody put this back a bit. 1 second, 1 second. I'll be off for 2 seconds. 1 second, people. Yeah, so I had to fix my camera again, people. Thank you for that. Yeah, sometimes this happens, man. Sometimes the camera gets out of focus. I really need a producer here. But as we start to grow, we'll get a producer. So thank you for sticking with us tonight. Yeah, bearing with me through this. I'm not going to be here long because, like I said, it's only me one here. I just wanted to put that in your system, you know. Numbers chapter 5, verses 11 through 31. And how Taiwan is being put out of the Caribbean, Central American Parliament. They brought them up. See, I knew. Well, let's move away from the abortion topic. Let's go back to Taiwan for a second. I knew when the Chinese government came with $20 billion for a highway from China to Honduras, that is just going to happen. You know, because not every Central American country now is going to want their $20 billion for their highway or their particular pet project, and you can't really tell them no. Some of these countries don't even have a GDP worth $20 billion. You know, so how are they going to tell China no? Why would they tell China no? You know, then you have on the other side, you have the United States coming in with $100 billion for everybody. You know, for climate change resilience or whatever kind of foolishness they're doing. And this $100 billion comes with stipulations and contingencies and checks and balances. The Chinese say no. I'm going to come and spend $100 billion just on one hotel alone. In one country alone. That's what China's going to do. But America's going to come, you know, like cheapskates, you know, pennies on the dollar. And even though we're their main partners, right, we're right in the same jurisdiction with them. They're the richest country in the world. They're chump changing us. Anyway, I can't curse the United States. I'm pro-US. I'm pro-US. This is a pro-US show. And I'm proud to say I support America in most things that they do. You know, because without America, the world that we live in, the country that we live in, we would not have. It was not for the United States. Okay, that's why being next to them, we have been blessed so much. And I'm glad to say that the Bahamas is a friend of the United States, one of his closest friends. But in saying that, though, they need to come with some more money. Don't come with $100 billion for the region for climate resilience. That's not going to cut it. China came with $20 billion for Honduras alone. All right. Came with $20 billion for Honduras alone. To build a highway that we're not even sure it's going to work, man. They're just willing to waste that money. You know, talk to me, man. Talk to me, people. Talk to me. Yeah, I know you're probably still in shock, but Numbers chapter 5, verses 11 through 31. You're still in shock, but you could read that for yourself. I did not lie. I'm looking right at the New International Version of the Bible right now on my computer. And it's the same thing as the King James Version. It's the same thing as the other version, the Gideon version. It's the same thing. It hasn't been abridged. It's right there. So those pastors who are talking about abortion is not sanctioned by the Bible. It's not sanctioned by God. Read Numbers chapter 5, verse 11 to 31. And in my own simple mind, the way I rationalize it, right, I'm thinking that God would not want to heap sin on top of sin. The woman is already unfaithful. So why do we want to bring a child into the situation that's going to come into a very toxic and hostile situation that's probably going to grow up in a very toxic, with a toxic mentality? A child is going to grow up very warped because it's not going to have the love of the father or the husband, because he's going to know that the child isn't his. You know, why do you want a child to grow up in that kind of toxicity? Or grow up, at the very least, grow up with a single mother because the husband leaves. Because after she has a child, nobody else is going to want her because she's going to be seen as, you know, a quote unquote HOE or WHORE, you know, because you can't say those words on YouTube. They'll cut you off because these words are being tracked very carefully through their algorithms. So yeah, we will not want a child to grow up in that situation, because when a child grows up in that situation, he becomes liable and prone to a lot of other social ills. And you know, there's studies on this where kids from single parent homes, they get involved in more crimes, they get involved in more drugs, they get involved in a lot more things that a child from a traditional mother, father home would not get into. And so God saw that in his infinite wisdom. He saw that and he put his provision in there for you inside the Bible. He gave you an out on that particular plank alone. So to keep the fabric of the home with some sort of integrity. So a man can have the option to leave his wife if she was unfaithful and to do away with the child if she was unfaithful. You know, these things are what they are. Because we're only animals, we're only dust. And he's encouraged us to reach past our flesh and look into the spiritual realm and to see it through his eyes, the way he sees sin. All right. So in my weak, feeble mind, I try to rationalize it, right? Because I am no way near a biblical scholar. I'm just reading this like everybody else, just like you are, just going through this, going through life, trying to understand and appreciate what God has put in place for me. And that's what I saw one morning. One morning around 5 o'clock, I just flipped through my Bible and I saw that. And I was just reading. I said, wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. But some other housekeeping matters that we're going to get out here very shortly. Some other housekeeping matters. I think from here on in until December, we're going to stop the Wednesday shows because I've started classes again. My classes go until 8 o'clock in the night. So I'm not going to have a chance to do the Wednesday shows anymore. I may be able to rush home and do the Monday show. And there's no class on Friday, so I can do the Friday show. But the Wednesday show, I want to cut up because I want to have that extra time for my reading. Like I said, I'm trying to finish this law program. I'm already, slipping on some courses. So I'm going to really double my efforts this semester. I only get better grades this semester. So I'm going to cut the Wednesday shows. So I'm putting those out there. I am going to cut the Wednesday shows all together now until December. We're only going to do the Fridays and the Mondays. And of course, we're going to have our structured interviews as well on YouTube. And hopefully we'll have another guest line for this Sunday where I can have that up and ready to go. We had Joshua Ford from Barbados, Red Diamond Compost CEO last week Sunday. So hopefully we'll get somebody else to talk to again this Sunday. So be on the lookout for that, okay? So otherwise than that, ladies and germs, thank you once again. Also, don't forget to like and share and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page, LimeVibe77. That's LimeVibe77 on Facebook and YouTube. Please look out for that. Look out at all of our other previous content and all of our other stuff that we have out there. We have a lot of stuff out there now. We're building a cache of things. And you go through the videos and pick what you like. And we're looking for people to talk to. We're looking for people to talk to across this region and Caribbean people across in other countries that are doing well as well. We're looking for that. We're looking for those people in the Caribbean and Central America who have something to offer this region, who are shining stars in their own right. Okay? And they become successful based on their own steam. This is what we want to talk about, man. This is what we need. This is what we want to hear about. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Short show tonight. Gonna be back again on Friday night at 8:30 for the LimeVibe Live podcast. Kim will be back, hopefully. I touched base on the day. She said she's okay. So she's gonna be back there with us. So let's get out of here, people. Get our music up. Video audio. Blah, blah, blah. There you go.